You don't just look at your phone like that.
You know when it's something happens, it's happening, man. Yeah, I can tell it, brother.
Shalom, shalom. Giving all honor and praise to the Most High Yah and the Son Yahushua. Come together on this Wednesday class. The name of the class is called Destruction of Nicanor. For the ones that's tuned in, we're gonna have the Purim class on the Sabbath. So we just gonna kind of touch in on the destruction of Nicanor tonight. Those two high holy days run one in the same or back to back, one after the other. So we will be celebrating it tomorrow night, Lord's willing. I guess we just jump into it, man. First precept we get into is Esther's chapter 9, verse 17. The book of Esther's chapter 9 and verse 17.
The book of Esther, chapter 9, verse 17. On the 13th day of the month Adar.
That's the 13th day of the 12th month. We are in the 12th month. So the next high holy day we have will be New Year. New moon, New Year. Read.
And on the 14th day of the same rested day. And
go ahead.
And made it a day of feasting and gladness.
Read verse 18.
But the Jews that were at Shushan assembled together on the 13th day thereof.
Now, the 13th day that we're going to be covering, that is the destruction of Nicanor. Read.
And on the 14th thereof. And on the 15th day of the same, they rested and made it a day of feasting and gladness.
Now, on the 14th and 15th days is going to be the Feast of Purim, which we're going to be covering on the Sabbath. So those high holy days are going back to back. So those are the two high holy days that we're gonna be doing, Lord's willing, this weekend. Well, including the Sabbath day. So because it just so happened to fall on the Sabbath too. So let's get into it, man. Let's go to 2 Maccabees chapter 14 and verse 1. We're gonna do some reading, y'all. So hope y'all got y'all tuners on.
The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 14 and verse 1. After 3 years was Judas informed that Demetrius, the son of Seleucus, having entered by the haven of Tripolis with a great power and navy.
That's the coast of Syria. Now, y'all know who Seleucus is. Anybody know? But
the general of Alexander.
Yeah.
One of Alexander's 4 generals. Yes, Seleucus, Ptolemy, Lysimachus, and Cassandra. This is going into his lineage, so to speak.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Had taken the country and killed Antiochus and Lysias, his protector. Now one Alcinous, who had been high priest and had defiled himself willfully in the times of their mingling with the Gentiles.
Now he was an Israelite that was mingling himself with the Gentiles. Read on.
Seeing that by no means he could save himself, nor have any more access to the holy altar.
Now, this is finna get into, we finna just start getting into the history a little bit and start kind of showing what's finna go on with Nicanor and our forefather Judas Maccabee. This is during the revolt. We don't know.
Came to King Demetrius in the 150th year, presenting unto him a crown of gold and a palm, and also the bowls which were used solemnly in the temple. And so that day he held his peace.
Read.
Howbeit, having gotten opportunity to further his foolish enterprise, and being called into council by Demetrius, and asked how the Jews stood affected, and what they intended, he answered thereunto.
Now, this brother is he just an informant, just like the police, how they have their informants. and they have their people ready to go to give them some information. Man, I need you to infiltrate the Israelite camps. They might send an informant. We never know. You know, we got to keep our eyes on the prize, man. We don't.
Those are the Jews that be called Sabaeans, whose captain is Judas Maccabeus.
Who captain is who?
Judas Maccabeus.
Now, everybody knows about Judas Maccabeus. He did not play games, man. When he came to go see you, he came to go see you. That's what it was. He was kind of like how King David was. When King David was coming to see you, you knew, I already knew what it was about. It wasn't about that talking. That mean all that talking stuff out the way. It means it's ready for action. We don't know.
Whose captain is Judas Maccabeus. Nourish war.
What he do?
Nourish.
He loved war. He nourished that thing. Read.
And are seditious. And will not let the realm be in peace. Therefore I, being deprived of my ancestors' honor, I mean the high priesthood, am now come hither.
Now you see what this wicked devil is saying? He's saying, and are seditious. Brother, he's fighting for us. He's fighting for the nation of Israel. So guess what? Take us up out of captivity, but guess what? Just like a lot of so-called, like we call them coon Negroes, they love mouse and feel like we can't do nothing unless we have them by our side. Go ahead,
Read.
Verse 8. First, verily for the unfeigned care I have of things pertaining to the king. And second, even for that I intend the good of mine own countrymen. For all our nation is in no small misery through the unadvised dealing of them aforesaid.
They didn't have no counsel, man. We don't.
Wherefore, O king, seeing thou knowest all these things, be careful for the country and our nation, which is pressed on every side, according to the clemency that thou readily shewest unto all.
That's the mercy he asking for to show all. Read.
For as long as Judas liveth, it is not possible that the state should be quiet.
Now he said he telling them like that's a wicked thing, bro. Talked about wicked. He was wicked. He said he telling the king, long as Judas Maccabees living, man, you ain't gonna never have no peace in your kingdom. Your kingdom gonna be in an uproar every time. Cause soon that dude bring his stuff, his tail over here. That's how this same thing tell us is downtown. Man, them brother go down there and teach it. He go to uproar downtown. Man, we reading the word of the Most High, man. But you know, Judas Maccabees, but he was a man of war, just like our God, man. He's a man of war. Read.
Matter of fact, let me get a precept real quick because
go ahead,
it was always in the scriptures how even like today, some of our people always hate each other, man. Give me 2 Maccabees chapter 4 and verse 15.
The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 4 and verse 15. Not setting by the honors of their fathers, but likening the glory of the Grecians best of all.
Now read that again.
Not setting by the honors of their fathers.
See, we don't set by the honors of our fathers. You know, our fathers did what? Kept Passover, kept the destruction of Nicanor, kept the Feast of Purim, kept God's high holy days. But now our people want to do what? Keep St. Patrick's Day, keep the 4th of July, keep all these customs that don't profit us anything. Read on.
But liking the glory of the Grecians best of all.
To make it plain, we like the things that the white man do, man. That's the same thing that they was doing in the past. Guess what? It's the same thing we doing in the present day time, man. You know, we don't want to keep God's high holy days. Let's celebrate everything outside of the scripture. Go ahead,
And see, that's the same thing they do in America. That's the same thing they do. Look here, man. Like, man, you an Israelite. No, I'm an American. I'm an African American.
I'm a Negro.
I ain't no Israelite. But hey, brother, you can't help what you are. God gave you that. You certain ain't that. We don't know.
The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 14 and verse 11. This was no sooner spoken of him, but others of the king's friends, being maliciously set against Judas, did more incent Demetrius.
We don't know.
And forthwith calling Nicanor, who had been master of the elephants, and making him governor over Judea, he sent him forth, commanding him to slay Judas.
What he want Nicanor to do?
Commanding him to slay Judas.
He wanted Nicanor to slay to slay Judas. Now he was commander over the elephants. He was commander over the elephant. You know how how you watch those Grecian movies, how they be riding on them big elephants and they come to war and them elephants tearing down things. Same thing he was doing. And he going Nicanor. He said, man, you got some powerful animals, man. Y'all can move around stuff. If they try to hide, y'all can knock them down. Look, I want you to go get Nicanor, and I need you to go kill Judas Maccabee.
Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing even when we read verse 12 again. It says, and forthwith calling Nicanor, who had been master of the elephants, and making him governor over Judea. Now Nicanor is a what? Is an Edomite.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? They did that in the same time doing what? Rome. When they made Herod over Israel. It's the same tactics that they did. It's just different people. But it's always the same plan over and over again.
Yeah, a lot of times when they didn't take over our lands, what they would do, they would own the land, but they would just they would appoint a governor over us, like they do now. Trump is one.
Mm-hmm. Read on now.
Verse 13, commanding him to slay Judas and to scatter them that were with him.
What are you supposed to do?
Scatter them that were with him.
Because that's what they did. That's the same tactic they do over and over again. After they defeat us or after they take us in bondage, they scatter us. Every single time. That's part of the curse. Matter of fact, let's go to Deuteronomy 28. Part of the curse every time. 64. Yeah, that's it. Deuteronomy 28, 64.
Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 64.
Every time you break God's laws, this is what happens. Read on.
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people.
What the Lord's gonna do?
Scatter thee among all people.
Guess what? He gave them the mindset to that's what they're supposed to do. How you want to divide and conquer Israel, how you conquer Israel, you got to scatter them. You can't keep them Negroes, can't keep them Hispanics, all them together, because they finna take over everything. Just like they did Black Wall Street, just like they did Rosewood. When we got our community going, they gonna guess what? To take us down, they got to pull us apart. That's why Israel in the last days, we got to be in a spiritual mindset. We cannot be in a corner mindset, think we're gonna make it, and think this thing gonna go sweet. Just like I brought out of class last Sabbath. Said the more you fight, the harder this yoke gonna be on your neck. We can't fight against this. The Most High God sit there. Read on up.
From one end of the earth even unto the other.
Mm-hmm.
And there thou shalt serve other gods.
And that's what happened when you scattered our people. Now you can make them conform to your God. That's what they did every time. Read.
Which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. Even wood and stone.
And we already know what wood stone going to. Christianity, Islam. But guess what? They go into more gods than that.
Mm-hmm.
All these different religions. Every captivity we went to, we took on to their religion. Every captivity, because we was a people that was robbed and spoiled already. Let's go back. Second Maccabees.
Look at Second Maccabees, chapter 14, verse 13.
Mm-hmm.
Commanding him to slay Judas and to scatter them that were with him, and to make Alcimus high priest of the great temple.
See, man, that ain't nothing but, boy, I'm telling you, it is all this calls from a wicked Negro that's trying to infiltrate the brotherhood, man. Read.
Then the heathen that had fled out of Judea from Judas came to Nicanor by flocks.
And see this, and this Alcimus dude, he wanted to be a high priest, man, because I'm gonna sell my people out just for me
to get a position.
To get a position, man. Guess what? Sometimes you see people even in camps right now to this day will sell their brothers out or their sisters out in camps and put them put their tail to the fire so they can keep their position.
We just seen it with who? With Gail, Oprah's best friend. She sold out her own people.
Let's get it out the scriptures.
Yeah, bring it out.
First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 11. Our favorite one. In those days they're out of Israel. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. And it's basically the same thing that he's saying. Alcimus, he's saying the exact same thing. Gail and them will say the same thing too. If it meant their pockets is gonna get hurt.
For real. Read on now.
All right, book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 14 and verse 14. Then the heathen that had fled out of Judea from Judas came to Nicanor by flocks, thinking the harm and calamities of the Jews to be their welfare. Now, when the Jews heard Nicanor's coming, and that the heathen were up against them.
See, because now they hear that Nicanor coming. They know Nicanor had a strong army. He was the commander over the elephant army. He was a commander over. They already know he was strong. Read on.
They cast earth upon their heads and made supplication to him that had established his people forever.
Now, who's he talking about? God. That's right. Read on.
And who always helpeth his portion with manifestations of his presence.
Now, the thing is, they do how when stuff come about, even in stuff in our everyday life, when things go on, it ain't time to put down the Bible. This is time to pick the Bible up. This is time to supplicate with the Lord. This is time to put your fast and your prayers on when you're going through things. Because a lot of time people, when they go through things, the first thing they do, they put down the Bible and they won't seek counsel by everybody else, and you don't even read. How you gonna dismiss the Lord when you're going through what you're going through? You can't dismiss the Lord. You always go to the source. This is our wisdom inside of the nations. This Bible. We got to already reverence the Bible. And if you don't understand the Bible, you don't understand where to go to get the source. You should always, the Lord has things set up that you can go to get it out the source and show, hey brother, I got this going on, man. Could you show me this in the scriptures, man? Because it's out here for us to have this though. Read on now.
Verse 16. So at the commandment of the captain, they removed straightways from thence and came near unto them at the town of Dasa. Now Simon, Judas' brother, had joined battle with Nicanor, but was somewhat discomforted through the sudden silence of his enemies.
Now, this Judas Maccabee, he had stopped fighting for a minute, but it's been explained it though. Read on.
Nevertheless, Nicanor, hearing of the manliness of them that were with Judas, and the courageousness that they had to fight for their country, durst not try the matter by the sword.
Now, he was kind of like, hold up, man. What is this? These dudes, man. I know they see all this animal, all these animals and all this army I got. Man, what is y'all doing? We don't.
Wherefore he sent Posidonius and Theodotus and Mattathias to make peace. So when they had taken long advisement thereupon, and the captain had made the multitude acquainted therewith, and it appeared that they were all of one mind. They consented to the covenants.
Now he's showing them. He said, "Look, man, I'm gonna before this war start, I'm gonna send my troops over here. We're gonna talk to these people because it can get ugly. So I'm going in. We're gonna go and try to talk and see if we straighten this thing out. If we can't straighten this thing out, then y'all already know what it is."
And it says, remember the covenants. Let me go, give me a 1 Maccabees chapter 2, verse 51. Because that's one thing that we always got to remember, that guess what? We got the covenant. The Most High is dealing with us if we deal with him. That means keep his commandments. And he'll fight on our behalf, but guess what? We got to be obedient, brothers and sisters, man. Start at verse 50, Captain Nehemiah.
1 Maccabees chapter 2, verse 50. Now therefore, my sons, be ye zealous for the law.
Be what?
Be ye zealous for the law.
The Bible says, be ye zealous for the law. This is Mattathias running down the history to his sons because he was about to pass on to death. Read on up.
And give your lives for the covenant of your fathers.
Read that again.
And give your lives for the covenant of your fathers.
We're supposed to give our lives for the covenant of our fathers, because guess what? If we give our lives, the Most High raises us back up anyway. Read on up.
Verse 51. Call to remembrance what acts our fathers did in their time.
That's why we have the Bible. It's a reminder the acts that our forefathers did on how they got out of certain situations. You know, it's a two-edged sword. Like I say, it teaches what things to do and it teaches what things not to do. Read on up.
So shall you receive great honor and an everlasting name.
And that's what we're trying to attain to. Great honor and an everlasting name, meaning immortality, the kingdom. Go ahead, Captain Evan.
See, and now y'all gonna watch how this dude, he kind of like what's the dude on the Django movie? What's that nigga on that name? What's his name?
Oh, Stephen.
Yeah, you gonna see how this dude work, man. Cause this dude was a pure D hater, man. Read on up.
Look at 2 Maccabees, chapter 14 and verse 21. And appointed a day to meet in together by themselves. And when the day came, and stools were set for either of them, Judas placed armed men ready in convenient places, lest some treachery should be suddenly practiced by the enemies.
Now they ain't going to meet up with him, but he got these men set up like, hey man, if anything go wrong, y'all know what to do, man. He got his shooters on deck, man.
Yeah, battle plan.
Read on.
So they made a peaceable conference. Now Nicanor abode in Jerusalem and did no hurt, but sent away the people that came flocking unto him. And he would not willingly have Judas out of his sight, for he loved the man from his heart.
See, he look at, he wanted to keep, it's like say, it said he lived by the rule, keep your friend close but your enemy closer. Read on.
He prayed him also to take a wife and to beget children. So he married, was quiet, and took part of this life.
But what? Watch this.
The Alcimus, perceiving the love that was betwixt them.
See, because they had a little small little covenant. But look at, he won't, this little wicked Negro won't leave it alone, man. Read.
And considering the covenants that were made, came to Demetrius and told him that Nicanor was not well affected towards the state, for that he had ordained Judas a traitor.
That he did what?
Ordained Judas a traitor to his realm to be the king's successor.
Now, since he didn't even become the high priest, now he trying to throw salt in the game. Now he trying to look, hey, okay, then I ain't high priest. Now I'm finna cause some strife in between them, man. Read on up.
Then the king, being in a rage, and provoked with the accusations of the most wicked men, wrote to Nicanor, signifying that he was much displeased with the covenants, and commanding him that he should send Maccabeus prisoner in all haste unto Antioch.
Now, from this dude sitting up here lying to the king, man. Now he finna get us. He done stirred the pot. Now he done stirred the pot. Now he finna get this thing going, man. Read on up.
When this came to Nicanor's hearing, he was much confounded in himself, and took it grievously that he should make void the articles which were agreed upon. The man being in no fault, but because there was no dealing against the king, he watched his time to accomplish this thing by policy.
Man,
I know it's hard.
Yeah, one thing about this, see, because one thing they had a covenant, and the thing about this, the Most High is also controlling this. What is his name? Alchemist. He want him to get that because one thing Most High is going to at this time he's going to show his glory.
That's right.
Amongst the nations, and at the same time that covenant that he would have had with the other people, you know, when he made with the Grecians. See, right that time, like a lot of times, that put us back to sleep. So the Most High used this man to give me Jude chapter 4.
Jude 4, verse 4.
Yeah. So one chapter. Chapter verse 4.
Jude 4:4.
1 and 4.
1 and 4.
Yeah, exactly.
Jude 1 and 4. For there are certain men crept in unawares, who were before of old ordained to this condemnation.
See, he was ordained to be that enemy. Just like Judas of Iscariot, he was ordained to be that enemy of our people against us. And it's the same thing the Most High is using to me. Because that's the same thing now. What happens if they gave us reparations? If they gave us reparations, boy, our people, all this work we doing, they been fell back to sleep. I'm talking about people that know the truth, be like, take them reparations. Well, I'm good. They good.
They say, oh, white people ain't bad.
Be mad at us. They be the same Israelites fussing. Y'all can't be talking about them Edomites.
They be saying Deuteronomy 23:7, man. I don't worry about it.
Yeah, that understanding be done time. But that's what he did. Go ahead.
Godly men, turning the grace of our God into lasciviousness, and denying the only Lord God and our Lord Yahweh.
You read 5.
Verse 5. I will therefore put you in remembrance, though you once knew this, how that the Lord, having saved the people out of the land of Egypt, afterward destroyed them that believed not.
But I said, now I'm gonna put you back in remembrance. I'm gonna put you back in them times when you seen that everybody was against you. And that's what he used Alchemist for in this position. He making it now. I'm gonna send him to go stir that up so my people won't fall asleep, and I'm gonna get this glory. All right, now we go back.
And even when you read, and like we say, verse 29, you know, we know Esau never keep their policies. They never keep their agreements. Even when we read in the book of Psalms.
And up to date right now, when Donald Trump got in office, he immediately ripped up the Iran nuclear deal.
Yeah.
With no fault on their side.
Yeah.
Let me get First Ezra, chapter 5 and verse 73. Because it's always, like we say, it's always the same tactics.
Same MO.
You know, the same MO, just like I can bring it out. You know, and a lot of times we got to be able to recognize these things and guess what, avoid. Because we already know they plan. We already know what they're going to come with. Read that,
First Ezra, chapter 5, verse 73. And by their secret plots.
Because that's what it was. It's always a secret plot to guess what? Find some fault in the policy so they give them a reason to go to war with a nation, to overtake or to overthrow a nation. Read on out.
And popular persuasion.
And popular persuasion goes into what? Popular trying to persuade the masses with the news, with CNN. These are popular persuasions because guess what? They persuade you to put an idea in your head to go with them.
Let me tell another visual out there. Weapons of mass destruction.
I was just gonna, that was exactly what I'm
They
gonna
went to the whole world
Yeah.
and lied on this man so that they can overturn his regime. I don't even like using that word. So they can kill the man. They call it overturning the regime. The man hadn't done nothing what you claiming that he did.
They ain't even found a firecracker over there.
And it's the same thing we were touching on the Sabbath. Okay, how is China and America the only two countries that got the disease? What you call the disease? But these are two major companies. Okay, you got Russia right there beside it. You got the Philippines. You got Australia. Why it didn't make it to those places before it got here? See, you got all Africa right there. But you go all the way over the seas and you bring your butt over here and say, oh man, this is the most terrible thing we ever heard in our life. Man, look here, man, we've been struggling and going through diseases and all kinds of stuff all our life. Why are we afraid of something, man? Look here, just when we was, 20 years ago, people weren't even talking about sickle cell or nothing there. Now all of a sudden, you cold, man. People, women eating ice every day. They cold. You got sickle cell. That's how it rolls, man. Anemic. That's how it rolls. But man, look at all these diseases, chicken pox, where all these things go. Measles, mumps, where them things go. Now you got all time. What you call it? What you call it for bad children? ADD.
You got ABC, ADHD.
Come on, man.
PQR, PQS.
Have the flu season always.
Read 73 again from the top.
First Ezra 5 and 73. And by their secret plots and popular persuasion and commotion.
And what?
Commotion.
Read on out.
They hindered the finishing of the building.
Go ahead.
All the time that King Cyrus lived.
Because guess what? It was during the time of the Persian and Mede captivity. They always gonna try to put out secret plots to try to hinder this building. Because guess what? We trying to build up the nation, man. So they gonna throw every little thing that they can after now. Black Hebrew Israelites stay violent when you don't have no record of us being violent nowhere in history. Come on, man. That's a exactly. And a popular persuasion. They persuading the masses to think that, even though they ain't seen no evidence of that thing. Read on now.
So they were hindered from building for the space of 2 years until the reign of Darius.
During this time in the Persian captivity, when that stuff had happened, it stopped them from doing the work for 2 years. You think Esau ain't gonna throw out every aspect to try to stop this thing, man? Like we said, this is for the fight of the planet Earth, man. They're gonna fight at all costs for this thing,
and it's just getting started.
Exactly. Go ahead,
Fun on it. Let's go back.
The second Maccabees, chapter 14 and verse 31.
Read up.
Let me start at 30.
Yeah.
Verse 30. Notwithstanding, when Maccabeus saw that Nicanor began to be churlish unto him, and that he entreated him more roughly than he was wont, perceiving that such sour behavior came not of good, he gathered together not a few of his men and withdrew himself from Nicanor.
Now, you know how it be when people be around folks like, man, why are you acting all salty for, man? What's wrong with this fool, man? We were just cool yesterday. Now you come and act like a fool. We know a couple people like that right now.
What's wrong with you? Nothing. And that's what it is. When you hear that, nothing. Oh, yeah,
something wrong with you. Now he looking at it, he said, hey, man, I need fool back, man. Hey, I don't know what's on this fool mind. Hey, but y'all better get ready, man. Because this dude, we were just cool yesterday. Now this man acting a fool. So now he just trying to warn the truth. Read on that.
Verse 31. But the other, knowing that he was notably prevented by Judas' policy, came into the great and holy temple and commanded the priests that were offering their usual sacrifices to deliver him the man. And when they swear that they could not tell where the man was whom he sought, he stretched out his right hand towards the temple and made an oath in this manner.
Read.
If ye will not deliver me Judas as a prisoner, I will lay this temple of God even with the ground, and I will break down the altar and erect a notable temple unto Bacchus.
Now, the thing is, when they came into they was looking, even though they had the little policy and stuff going on, they wanted Judas Maccabees as a prisoner because that was the king's order for him to go get the prisoner.
And that's another good thing. Learning, this is one of the important things we got to know our history. Because when we learn our history, we can see what our enemies are trying to do. It's the same MO. It's the same thing over and over. So if people talking about, we don't need to know. That's very important. So you'll know what spell you've been under if you learn your history, and you can snap out of it when you see they've been doing the same thing for years. It's the same thing. That's how we know what's coming next, because they ain't changed. They've been doing the same thing. Go ahead.
Now we're in the spirit, like we said, in the spirit of keeping God's law, statutes, commandments. Y'all hear what the devil just said? I will lay this temple of God even with the ground. Not only he gonna destroy it, but he said, and I will break down the altar and put up a notable temple unto Bacchus. So you're gonna break down our Lord, our God's temple, and then put up the devil's temple.
Yeah.
If we're in the spirit, guess what? The Most High, you don't think the Most High gonna stop that thing at all costs? Most High ain't gonna play no games, and this really is the heat of the matter right here.
That's right.
Go ahead,
and like I'll bring it out. Now, this is really going. This is not just disrespecting Judas Maccabee. This is disrespecting our God. Like, man, we're gonna tear down y'all God and show how our God works. You know. So it's just like this really is disrespect all the way around, man. Like I say, this is finna get heated. We don't know.
Verse 34. After these words, he departed. Then the priests lifted up their hands towards heaven and besought him that was ever a defender of their nation.
What was our God?
Ever a defender of their nation.
Our God is the defender of our nation, man. According to Exodus chapter 14 and 14, he said, he said, the Lord will fight for you, hold your peace. Read.
Saying in this manner, thou,
O Lord of all things, who has need of nothing, was pleased that the temple of thine habitation should be among us. Therefore now, O holy Lord of all holiness, keep this house ever undefiled, which lately was clean, and stop every unrighteous mouth.
Amen. That's
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Because even with this, when did they cleanse the house? Brothers should know this. When we read up a few chapters in First Maccabees chapter 1 through 4, when we was going into what? The Feast of Dedication. They had just cleansed the temple, getting the Greeks and getting all different type of swine and getting all type of filth and abomination up out of the temple. Exactly. So this is what he's referring back to. Now they're trying to put these things back in there. So he's like, shoot over my dead body, man. So that's why he's throwing up the prayers, and that's why we tell brothers and sisters, man, prayer is powerful, man. Prayer with fasting, man. Go ahead,
and the thing is, just like I was bringing out, it look at this time. Well, you see how every single time when they get news about what's coming up against them, what they keep doing? They keep seeking the Lord. Because our people knew who our God was, man. We lost the value of our God and the understanding of what our God to do for us, because we trust in, according to Lamentation 4:17, trusting in the nation it cannot save thee. This nation can't save us. Looking for something to save us beside our God. And our God's the only thing that's going to take us out of this thing.
And this shows you that this is just as much a spiritual fight than it is a physical fight. Because every time they want to attack our temple, they want to attack our God.
They do.
They want to attack anything that has to do with our book, anything that has to do with our true religion, our heritage. They always want to go after our God. Yeah, you can take us physically, but why are you messing up here? Because you know that's where it's most important at, the spiritual matter. That's why he said he had destroyed, bring it down to the ground, and then wreck their own temple with their false deities in it, because they know that's spiritual warfare. This is just as much a spiritual fight as it is a physical fight.
And they're attacking our temple today.
Exactly.
By attacking your body. Your body is a temple. That's why it's putting pork in everything. All these different things that they're trying to get you to do. Seafood, this is a great thing to eat. It's a delicacy. Our people run that. That's what it's about now. It's still attacking our temple to break us down mentally. Cigarettes, every other thing, drugs, everything is to attack our temple.
Or our people out.
All that. Yep.
Because it's a spiritual fight.
We don't know.
Verse 37. Now was there accused unto Nicanor, one Rices, one of the elders of Jerusalem, a lover of his countrymen.
What was he?
A lover of his countrymen, and a man of very good report, who for his kindness was called a father of the Jews.
Read.
For in the former times, when they mingled not themselves with the Gentiles.
Read.
He had been accused of Judaism, and did boldly jeopard his body and life with all vehemency for the religion of the Jews.
See, because when you in the spirit, man, matter of fact, go to Sirach 32:24. When you in the spirit, man, it's hard. It's when you in the spirit, can't nobody take you out of that thing, man. I mean, you done zoned out, man. You one with the Lord, man. Read that out.
Sirach. The book of Sirach, chapter 32, verse 24. He that believeth in the Lord taketh heed to the commandments.
He said, he that believeth on the Lord taketh heed to the commandments, man. Read.
And he that trusteth in him shall fare never the worse.
Man, we ain't gonna fare never the worse. No matter what happens, there's no fear in that thing, man. We know the Lord got us, man. Just like I was talking about his people, man. He was accused of Judaism. He was accused of keeping the law, statutes, and commandments of God, and not doing the king's orders. Yeah, okay. We're gonna be persecuted in these last days the same way, man. Oh man, y'all want to keep the Sabbath. What if they make a national holiday tomorrow saying that we can't keep the Sabbath? Are y'all still gonna keep the Sabbath? Well, I think we're gonna go to church on Sunday. No, man. We got to stand up for our nation, man. We got to stand up for our God, man. Let's go back. Read on now.
The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 14 and verse 39. So Nicanor, willing to declare the hate that he bare unto the Jews, sent above 500 men of war to take him,
Now it said Nicanor. Now, so Nicanor willing to declare the hate that bared unto the Jews. Now I thought you just so friends, but guess what? So soon, change overnight. That's what the other nations do, man. They ain't got no respect of person, man. They don't regard the young or the old, man. When they come, they play for keeps. Read on up.
Verse 40. For he thought by taking him to do the Jews much hurt.
What he wanted to do?
He thought by taking him to do the Jews much hurt.
That's crazy. Read on up.
Now, when the multitude would have taken a tower and bodily broken down the outer door, and bade that the fire should be brought to burn it.
Now that's just them talking about taking over the temple, burning this thing down. Cause he does what he said. He said he's gonna try to lay this thing even with the ground. Read.
And he being ready to be taken on every side, fell upon his sword, choosing rather to die manfully.
Now this is talking about our forefather Raz. Read on. I want y'all to keep that mindset. Read.
Choosing rather to die manfully than to come into the hand of the wicked, to be abused otherwise than beseemed his noble birth.
Now he said, man, you know what, man, I'm not gonna let them heathens kill me. But guess what, man? Thou should not kill. So hey, you can't be out here killing yourself. So it makes this clear. Because people teach all kinds of doctrines in the truth. Because we done heard them. Read on.
But missing his stroke through haste, the multitude also rushing within the doors. He ran boldly up to the wall and cast himself down manfully among the thickets of them.
Now, he cast himself off the building, man. Read.
But they quickly give him back, and a space being made, he fell down into the midst of the void place.
So now he's on top of the building. He jumped down, and you know how the crowd do. They want to crowd surf, and they don't want to catch you. Everybody move out the way and let him hit the ground. Read up.
Nevertheless, while there was yet breath within him, being inflamed with anger, he rose up.
What did he do after he just fell down to the ground? Just like a tough boy.
He rose up. And though his blood gushed out like spouts of water, and his wounds were grievous, yet he ran through the midst of the throne. So like,
Not the
Forefathers wearing no thongs. Get down like that, man.
Yeah, run me 22 and 5.
Yet he ran through the midst of the throng, and standing upon a steep rock, when as his blood was now quite gone, he plucked out his bowels.
Man, look, he trying to kill himself.
And the Most High is not allowing him. He's not allowing him to die. He done did everything.
We just gonna leave that brother alone.
Ain't like it, Will. Ain't watching him like, go ahead.
He's running into everything. Diving off the building head first.
But y'all also, you looking at it, they're also showing, he said that if this man died, this is gonna hurt all the Jews if he died. But look at this man killing himself. So guess what? You think he did the Jews some hurt because he died? No, he did himself some hurt, man.
He was not doing.
And that's another thing. You see the Most High is in control of it, because man, like the stuff he doing, you supposed to be dead, man. He is like, man, yeah, I can't kill myself. How about this? Dang, that don't work. How about this? And he, boom, dang, that didn't work. Imagine what he looked like. I mean, head blown off. He just walking around still.
Man.
No legs.
So, hey, man, come on, man, thrust me through here. Go ahead.
Verse 46. When as his blood was now quite gone.
Now his blood, all the blood almost gone out of his body, man. He's still living though, read.
He plucked out his bowels.
He pulled his bowels out of his stomach, man. Read.
And taking them in both hands, he cast them upon the throne, and calling upon the Lord of light,
He's still talking. He's still speaking. He done threw his bowels. He done threw his guts out his body.
He got him in both hands.
And that throne is a large, densely packed crowd of people.
Oh.
That throne. That was that throne.
They probably said,
A largely packed crowd of people.
Okay.
Or animals, but people.
Okay. Okay.
On it.
I'm gonna start that from the top again,
That's what that throne is.
since we got a better understanding. When as his blood was now quite gone, he plucked out his bowels, and taking them in both of his hands, he cast them upon the throne.
He throwed it out on the crowd, man.
And calling upon the Lord of life and spirit to restore him.
What is our Lord?
Lord of life and spirit.
Because we got the Lord of life, man. Read.
To
And
restore him those again. He thus died.
He probably went on, man, gave the ghost up.
man, that had to have you thinking, boy. You finna go over there, I'm finna go kill him, and you up here, he just killing himself and trying to kill it, and you like, you just kind of want to go home after that. Like,
You want to keep
well,
going?
can he kill himself?
Like Tommy's ears.
Yeah.
Come on. We're going to chapter 15, verse 1.
The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 15 and verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
But Nicanor, hearing that Judas and his company were in the strong places about Samaria, resolved without any danger to set upon them on the Sabbath day.
They wanted to fight against Judas Maccabees them on the Sabbath day, man. Them some wicked fools, man. Because they already know what we supposed to be doing on Sabbath day. Praise the Lord and resting, right? But guess what, man? Them fools want to come up, man. Them some cowards, boy. Cause they know we want to Sabbath day. They know we were gonna tell a line and out there, but man.
It's sunset. They know we gonna tear their butt up.
But the thing is, guess what? It had happened once before.
Mhm.
Give me First Maccabees chapter 2 and verse 41. It happened once before with battling with the Greeks. You know, which is the same sect. It's just different tribes of Esau, basically.
First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 41.
Jump up to verse 40 out.
Second Maccabees 2 and 40.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them said to another, if we all do as our brethren have done, and fight not for our lives and laws against the heathen, they will now quickly root us out of the earth.
Because even during this time, guess what? They came against our people on the Sabbath because it was against the law for us to do anything. But let's see what they came together and agreed upon. Read verse 41.
At the time, therefore, they decreed, saying, whosoever shall come to make battle with us on the Sabbath day.
On the what?
On the Sabbath day.
Read on up.
We will fight against him.
We will what?
We will fight against
We
him.
will fight against them. That's the decree. So guess what? We can defend ourselves on the Sabbath, man. Read on up.
Neither will we die all, as our brethren that were murdered in the secret places.
So guess what? We ain't gonna let them just come up in here and just do what they want with us. You know what I'm saying? We can defend ourselves. Go ahead.
And these were and those people that they had came to kill in the first, they weren't even warriors. They had just fled after they scattered and they ran into the woods and they were like, and they knew it was the Sabbath and they was resting. And then when they came to them, they know we ain't here to fight. This is the Sabbath. And they slaughtered and murdered our people. And that's why the rest of them came and said, hey, if y'all attack us on this Sabbath, we gonna get you.
Yeah, because guess what, man? Man, we looking like how they come in. They were tan. They was killing us, man, and we was dying. We was sitting up there just taking it, man. Man, the Lord put the spirit on like, hold up, man. Hold up, man. Okay, then. Let them take the ball out this time. I told y'all the rest. When they come across this line, y'all gonna tear them up. All praise to the Most High, man.
Take the collar off.
Take the collar off, man. Read up.
Look at 2 Maccabees chapter 15 and verse 2. Nevertheless, the Jews that were compelled to go with him said, oh, destroy not so cruelly and barbarously, but give honor to that day, which he that seeth all things has honor with holiness above other days. Then the most ungracious wretch demanded,
what he do?
If there were a mighty one in heaven that had commanded the Sabbath day to be kept. And when they said, there
there is in heaven a living Lord and mighty, who commanded the 7th day to be kept. Then said the other, and I also am mighty upon earth, and I command to take arms and to do the king's business. Yet he obtained not to have his wicked done, well done. So Nicanor, in exceeding pride and haughtiness.
What Nicanor was?
Exceeding pride and haughtiness.
See, because he talking against our God. Yeah, they said he's supposed to keep the Sabbath and this. But look, I'm full of pride, man. Look at it. I don't care about this Sabbath day. That's their Sabbath day, man. See, Nicanor didn't care. He didn't regard that, man. Read.
Nicanor was Sunday morning.
So Nicanor, in exceeding pride and haughtiness, determined to set up a public monument of his victory over Judas and them that were with him.
Now he said, look, man, I'm going to go on Sabbath day. Guess what? And I'm going to kill all them, man. And I'm going to set up a monument, man. I'm going to show y'all how I get down. A coward, man. Straight coward. Read.
But Maccabeus had ever sure confidence that the Lord would help him.
What the Lord going to do?
Help him.
Because the Lord finna help him, man. This is Sabbath day, and the Lord finna help him because the Lord know that Maccabee, I'm gonna call him Captain Maccabee. The Lord know that Maccabee, he was gonna defend his nation. He was doing a good work, man. He was helping his brother get that sheep out the ditch, man. Read.
But Maccabeus had ever sure confidence that the Lord would help him. Wherefore he exhorted his people not to fear the coming of the heathen against him.
Not to do what?
Not to fear the coming of the heathen against them.
We can't have no fear, brothers and sisters, because guess what? They don't come against us, man. They come against us in different ways, different tactics. It's not going to always be just physical. You know, it might be financial, you know, so we got to take heed to these things, getting brothers and sisters to be prepared.
It might be the coronavirus.
That's
what they got you trying to feed you now.
But to remember the help which in former times they had received from heaven.
See, because we got to remember the help. Even in our days right here, we got to remember our help, man. That's something we got to get our mindset, because when each high holy day that we have, and then I don't know if y'all pay attention to the teachings that we bring out to try to show y'all through the scriptures. All these high holy days, it meant something. We didn't have these high holy days just because, hey, let's just throw a party over here, Nehemiah. No, it wasn't that type of way. It meant something. The reason why we have these high holy days. That's why we tell brothers and sisters, man, look at it. It's a commandment for you to keep these things.
And I'm glad that I said that, man, because we normally do touch on that every time we bring it out. We know Esau celebrate the destruction of the nations that he conquered, and we follow that thing blindly. It's the flip side with us, man. We celebrate our conquering of the other nations, man. Right. So that's a real high holy day that you should be want to keep, man, because it's your heritage, your history.
And to give you that confidence too, when you know that your father have took care of your business with all these other times, and now you finna come into a time where it's finna do it again. So it brings us back remembrance of our fathers of old, that hey, we just go back and look what they did, and they just trusted in the Most High, and he took care of that business. Go ahead.
That's right. That's definitely right. Verse 8.
Wherefore he exhorted his people not to fear the coming of the heathen against them, but to remember the help which in former times they had received from heaven, and now to expect the victory and aid which should come unto them from the Almighty. And so comforting them out of the law.
Out of the what?
Out of the law.
Because if you read verse 8, the last part said, which shall come unto them from the Almighty, from the Most High God. Verse 9, it says, so comfort them out of the law, out of the Lord's word, man. In the time of our trouble, always, this right here is our protection.
Our comfort.
Yeah,
our comfort, our understanding.
The comfort before Yahweh came on the scene.
This has always been what we had, man. We got to lean on this thing, man. As a nation, as an individual, we have to lean on God's word. Read out.
So comforting them out of the law and the prophets.
And the prophets, man. Read.
And withal putting them in mind of the battles that they won afore. He made them more cheerful.
He did what?
Made them more cheerful.
And he said he made them more cheerful. Let me get a precept right quick. Show y'all.
And that's another thing. When he was speaking of the Comforter, That's the same thing Yahweh Shah was saying. When I leave, I'm gonna leave the comforter. This time it's not gonna be just this Old Testament. Now y'all gonna get the whole full New Testament. So anytime you feel discouraged, go to the comforter. Go in the scriptures. Go to the law. And therefore you can get comfort in that.
And see, matter of fact, let's go to Luke 24 and 44. I'm gonna show you something in this, man. Y'all, we're gonna go back there in a minute. I'm gonna go to Luke 24 and 44.
We'll go to Luke chapter 24, verse 44. And he said unto them, these are the words which I spake unto you while I was yet with you, that all these things must be fulfilled.
Now this is Christ saying all things must be fulfilled. Read.
Which were written in the law of Moses.
Which was written in the law of Moses. Read.
And in the prophets.
And in the prophets. Read on.
And in the Psalms concerning me.
Now all these things must be fulfilled concerning Christ. Was written in the book of the law of Moses and in all the prophets. Because a lot of time people, they just talk about the laws, but the statutes and commandments, all of those come with our forefathers. When you talking about the prophets and you talking about the Psalms, all of these concerning to them, our Most High God and His Son, man. This thing concerning, read verse 45.
45. Then open he their understanding, that they might understand the scriptures.
And open ye the understanding that we might understand the scriptures. Just like with them, they went seek the Lord and the prophets. That was before time. They seek them and they read these scriptures that the Lord will open their understanding of what should they do next. How should I get myself? How can I push myself forward in this time of trouble? Because trouble was all about them. So they had to seek the Most High. They knew about Christ before. They knew about Christ then, because Moses spoke about Christ. All the prophets spoke about Christ. All the prophets spoke about the Most High God. They knew about what was supposed to be going on. So when they seek the Lord, they were seeking the Lord in His words, and what the comfort was, what the comfort that He was supposed to bring them in their time of trouble. Go ahead. Let's go back to 2 Maccabees chapter 15. So every time you're going through your trouble, even like our forefathers, we supposed to lean on the Bible. How our forefathers did, they seek the prophets and they seek the laws. They got an understanding of what they supposed to go through, what they was going through. Read out.
2 Maccabees chapter 15 and verse 10. And when he had stirred up their minds, he gave them their charge, showing them therewithal, and the falsehood of the heathen, and the breach of oath.
Because guess what? The same thing we was touching on in Luke 24:25. Give them understanding of what they should do. Gave them understanding of how they should move, and that's how we should do. When you going through things in your life, the Lord give you understanding about what you should do by His word. What do you say? The Spirit said, and the Spirit told me, seek the Lord, man. Seek the Lord. You want to know what the Lord say? Here you go, right here. Seek Him, right here. Read up.
Thus he armed every one of them, not so much with the defense of shields and spears, as with comfortable and good words.
What he did?
Comfortable and good words.
Read.
And besides that, he told them a dream worthy to be believed, as if it had been so intended, which did not a little rejoice them. As if it had been so indeed, which did not a little rejoice them.
Read.
And this was his vision, that Onias, who had been high priest, a virtuous and a good man, reverend in conversation, gentle in condition, well spoken also, and exercised from a child in all points of virtue, holding up his hands, prayed for the whole body of the Jews.
What did he do?
Prayed for the whole body of the Jews.
Man, this man was a virtuous man. Guess what? That's the type of man that you can get a virtuous woman. See, that's how we always should look, man. Our forefathers wasn't a joke, man. Concerning our God, they was full-fledged with our God, man. They wanted to seek our God in every kind of way, but we done got away from our God so much to the point, man, our people don't even care and consider who our God is and how much He means to us, man. and how much he means to the world and everything that he put in this world. Read up.
This done. In like manner, there appeared a man with gray hairs and exceeding glorious, who was of a wonderful and excellent majesty. Then Onias answered, saying, this is a lover of the brethren, who prayeth much for the people and for the holy city, to wit, Jeremiah, the prophet of God.
It says talking about the prophet Jeremiah, man.
Whereupon Jeremiah, holding forth his right hand, gave to Judas a sword of gold.
What did he give Judas Maccabeus, man?
A sword of gold.
Gave him a sword of gold, man. Read on.
And in giving it, he spake thus. Take this holy sword, a gift from God.
He said, this is a gift from God, man. Read.
With the which thou shalt wound the adversary.
What are you going to do with the adversary?
Wound the adversary.
Man, come on. If the Lord give you a sword, man, a gold sword, man, come on, man. You know, you walk around with this thing. Hey, man, you better get back, man. Hey, I need 50 feet. So this thing gonna go off. This thing gonna go off, man. Dog, read.
Thus being well comforted by the words of Judas, which were very good, and able to stir them up to valor and to encourage the heart of the young men, they determined not to pitch camp, but courageously to set upon them, and manfully to try the matter by conflict, because the city and the sanctuary and the temple were in danger.
Man, the city and the temple were in danger, man. But you already know, they done already prayed to the Most High, man. Guess what? They did the same thing how they doing now. Guess what? When they were going in times of trouble, when they didn't understand things and they needed to go back to the word, they always went to the seers or to the prophets. When the prophets explain what should happen and what should do, just like how the Lord set things up right now. And when you don't understand things that's going on in your life, you're supposed to seek counsel and see how to handle those matters, man. Because a lot of times people think they can get in this walk and don't have to ask no question. Everything all hunky-dory, and it's not. You crumbling. You falling down right in front of yourself, right in front of everybody. And they don't know you. And a lot of times people don't know that you crumbling. A lot of times people don't know that you're falling because people don't seek the prophets. They don't seek the seers. Seers and prophets are the same thing. So they don't seek the prophets. They just go on their own accord. And a lot of times you see people get snatched out the walk. But we pray brothers repent and sisters repent that they come back to it. But you got to seek counsel. You got to do how the Lord set it up for you to do, for you to get an understanding of how, when things go on in your life. Read on up.
For the care that they took for their wives and their children, their brethren and kinfolks, was in least account with them. But the greatest and principal fear was for the holy temple.
Now I'm gonna show y'all something. Go to 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 29. We'll go back right quick. 1 Corinthians 7 and 29. I'm gonna show you something because this is what Brother Paul was saying. I'm gonna show y'all something. We're gonna go back though.
First Corinthians chapter 7, verse 29.
But this I say, brethren,
The time is short.
It
remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none.
Now he's saying the time is short. They say for those that have wives to be as they didn't have, they had none. Now, do that mean that you don't supposed to stop doing things for your wife? Does it supposed to mean that you don't do your manly duties, your husbandly duties? They think you're supposed to be take care of the house? Let's go back to 2 Maccabees right quick. Well, this is the answer to it. 2 Maccabees chapter 15 and verse 18. Read that.
For the care that they took for their wives.
Because guess what? Even though it's a time short, you still got to take care of your wife, man. Read.
And their children.
And your children. Read on.
Their brother.
And their brethren. Read.
And kinfolks. Was in least account with them.
It's the least account with them because why?
But the greatest
part of your walk, though, read.
And principal fear was for the holy temple.
Now, the greatest fear in holy for the temple, man, is for the seeking the Most High God, man. In our walk, guess what? We know. Guess what? Our wives should understand that. You know what? We got to go out there and do this work for the Lord. But we cannot forsake our home. But we still got to. They got to understand we got to do the work for the Lord.
Most High come first.
Most High come first.
That's what they're saying. Most High come first.
That's all it's going into. You got to show what's first in your life.
And guess what? The wives should be having that same mentality. You know, want to do the will of the Most High first. You know, husband second, children third. So everything has its order.
That's right. Read on up.
Mhm.
All right.
Verse 19.
Verse 19. Also, they that were in the city took not the least care, being troubled for the conflict abroad. And now, when it's all looked what should be the trial, and the enemy were already come near, and the army was set in array, and the beasts conveniently placed, and the horsemen set in wings. Maccabeus, seeing the coming of the multitude, and the diverse preparations of the armor.
Now Maccabees, see, he looking at the army and he looking at all the stuff that's going on around the battle, but he understands the tactics, what's going on, and he see the situation. Man, Maccabees was a general, man. Read.
And the fierceness of the beast stretched out his hands towards heaven, and called upon the Lord that worketh wonders, knowing that the victory cometh not by arms, but even as it seemed good to him, he giveth it to much. He giveth it to such as are worthy.
So now he look at Maccabees got that golden sword up in there, man. He pointing up to the heaven like Lord, like He-Man or something out there, man. Point that bug up to the heaven like Lord. God, this thing, man. Yeah, this your show. I'm trying to watch it. Read on up.
Therefore, in his prayer, he said after this manner, O Lord, thou didst send thine angel in the time of Ezekiel, king of Judea,
Hezekiah,
king of Judea, and didst slay in the host of
Sennacherib,
184,500.
This is going back to the history in 2 Kings chapter 19, verse 35. That's how we know it's Hezekiah. It's just written in the Greek form, so they changed the wordings.
Yeah.
When Hezekiah prayed to the Most High to send a death angel, and it killed 185 of the Assyrians when they tried to come against Jerusalem. Go ahead,
Verse 23. Wherefore now also, O Lord of heaven, send a good angel before us for a fear and dread unto them. And through the might of thine arm, let those be stricken with terror that come against thy holy people to blaspheme. And he ended thus.
Read on.
Then Nicanor and they that were with him came forward with trumpets and songs. But Judas and his company encountered the enemy with invocation and prayer, so that fighting with their hands and praying unto God with their hearts, they slew no less than 35,000 men. For through the appearance of God, they were greatly cheered.
hey, man, look at, man, they were playing those dang old games with them, man. Look, they put the word of God first, and then they went to war, man. Our people ain't no joke, man. When y'all want to see about Michael Jordan and all these people, read out about our forefathers. Our forefathers got down like a mud, boy. You think Mike Tyson bad and all the Vander Holyfield? Man, this the best of the best right here, man. Read.
Now, when the battle was done, returning again with joy, they knew that Nicanor lay dead in his harness. Then they made a great shout and a noise, praising the Almighty in their own language. And Judas, I got to say that again. And then they made a great shout and a noise, praising the Almighty in their own language. And Judas, who was ever the chief defender of the citizens, both in body and mind.
In the spirit and in mind, man. Read.
And who continued his love towards his countrymen all his life, commanded to strike off Nicanor's head.
What he do?
Commanded to strike off Nicanor's head.
They said, man, cut his dang on head off, man. That's how we get down, man. He want to come against us, man. I made a covenant with this fool. Slice his dang on head off, man. Read.
And his hand with his shoulder.
And his what?
Hand with his shoulder.
And his hand with his shoulder, man. Don't slice him on down, man. Read.
And bring them to Jerusalem. So when he was there, he had called them of his nation together and set the priests before the altar. He sent for them that were of the tower and shewed them bow Nicanor's head.
What did they do?
Shewed them bow Nicanor's head.
It's like how you slice Medusa head off. You have it in your hand. Here you go, right here. Read.
And the hand of that blasphemer, which with proud brags he had stretched out against the holy temple of the Almighty.
Yeah, the same hand you praise up to your God to tear down his temple. I'm gonna slice. He slice them things down too, man.
And when he had cut out the tongue of the ungodly Nicanor, he commanded that they should give it by pieces unto the fowls.
Man, he said, man, here you go, man. I'm gonna throw this down like some bread.
And hang up the reward of his madness before the temple. So every man prays towards heaven the glorious Lord, saying, blessed be he that has kept his own place undefiled. He hanged also Nicanor's head upon the tower, an evident and manifest sign unto all of the help of the Lord. And they ordained all with all common decree, in no case to let that day pass without solemnity, but to celebrate the 13th day of the 12th month.
He said we can't let this day pass without celebrating that day, man. Read.
Which in the Syrian tongue is called Adar. The day before Mordecai's day.
Mordecai's day, which is what? Purim. That's before Purim. We just read at the beginning of the class in Esther chapter 9. Read.
Thus went it with Nicanor, and from that time forth the Hebrews had the city in their power. And here will I make an end. And if I have done well, and as it fitting the story, it is that which I desire. But if slenderly and meanly, it is that which I could slack it. And if I had done well, and as if fitting the story, it is that which I desire. But if the slenderly and meanly, it is that which I could obtain unto.
Read.
For as it is hurtful to drink wine or water alone, and as wine mingled with water is pleasant, and delighteth the taste, even so speech finely framed delighteth the ears of them that read the story. And here shall be an end.
All praise. So this is the destruction of the Nicanor. So this is supposed to make your ears tingle and your heart filled with joy.
He ain't gonna play with our enemies, man. It ain't gonna be no.
That's right.
Y'all stop it. No. Take them out.
Those is been tuning in on Facebook. Those tuning on YouTube. Man, I'll praise to the Most High for y'all brothers, sisters tuning in. Hold up. We got the structure of Nicanor tomorrow and the Feast of Purim. Tomorrow night at sundown. We're gonna start the destruction of Nicanor and the Feast of Purim Sabbath and Sunday. So those is, like I say, those is tuning in. Thanks for giving to the GoFundMe. That money will be used as the Most High will, not our own will. Those is following on Facebook and on YouTube. And y'all hit the, with those follow on YouTube, hit the subscribe button so y'all can get the notifications of the class. You got some
Law.
Yeah, we get a law. Get us a law.
What's the song? 1 and 12.
Oh, it was under 12.
Yeah, 1 and 12. This is clear up a matter before we go.
Yeah. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 1, verse 12.
Yeah.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1 and verse 12. Seek not death in the era of your life, and pull not upon yourselves destruction with the works of your hands.
Yeah, I was bringing that out because we're not supposed to be trying to commit no suicide. I'm just letting you know the scriptures tell us that's not what we're trying to do. And he was bringing that out. I don't want nobody getting confused, talking about we telling you you can kill yourself. No, you can't.
That scripture showed you that he wasn't letting them kill
He wasn't
himself.
even letting them do it.
So-
That
And with that, we say shalom.
Shalom. Sit.